Buying from them is a great way to get new products with great discounts by also bringing in your used items for store credit or cash on the spot. Play it against sports at 48th and Vine. When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with taco night on Mondays or whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
Have you been injured in an accident and don't know where to turn? You need an attorney you can trust to handle your case with professionalism and compassion. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group understand that a call to an attorney is a call for help. If you've been injured, we want to help you. Liberty Law's experienced attorneys are committed to the pursuit of justice for those injured. Call Liberty Law Group and find out how we can help get you the compensation you deserve. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. 877-42-LIBERTY. Liberty Law Group. Trial attorneys you can trust.
Attention all Wings fans, Buffalo Wings and Rings has daily specials that will make you want to stop in on all days of the week. Kids eat free on Mondays, and on Tuesdays enjoy 40% off boneless or traditional wings at a price that makes the whole family happy. And come back on Wednesdays for $1.39 chicken tenders all day long. Get to Wings and Rings today, 68th and O or in Williamsburg Village.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Looking for a financial partner that truly makes a difference? Modern Woodman is a member-owned fraternal financial services organization. We can help you plan for all stages of life, from protection to saving to retirement. We also offer member benefits, social activities, and volunteer opportunities to help your family and community.
I'm Sean Erickson, your Modern Woodman representative in Lincoln. Call me at 402-483-6515 to start the conversation.
Modern Woodman of America, touching lives, securing futures.
Early break. One-handed, behind the back, over the shoulder. Oh, yeah.
They're peacocking out there.
Eyes closed like that. High stepping, high knees.
That guy doing
high knees. I saw a guy doing a karaoke down the sidewalk. Guys, this is incredible.
Using it as a microphone.
Yeah. I can do anything. Flip it over, sing into it. Then there's me. I'm like,
With Steve Sipple, Jake Sorensen, and Bill Bush from 6 to 9 every weekday morning on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
When opportunity knocks, you don't want to miss the call. Hamilton Business Technologies makes communication easy and efficient using customized technology, all while putting people first. Whether you're working from the office, at home, or on the go, Hamilton Business Technologies equips your business with the right tools for smooth, professional call handling. Hamilton Business Technologies. Real people, real technology solutions. Learn more at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, welcome to Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back in to Ticket Weeknights. Harrison Arens on the ones and twos. We'll do another hour here before we go to National. Keep it on live since it is Give to Lincoln Day. And again, I'll remind you guys, it's Give to Lincoln Day for 3 more hours. It does not end until midnight. Even though we were out there at Matt Talbot Kitchen and Outreach from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., it is still going on. So again, you got till midnight. You can go to givetolincoln.org. Your money, if you decide to donate with money, does work overtime today. And I must say, again, if you guys decide to donate and you want to put in the text line, you want to be anonymous, you want to give me your number, feel free to do so. I love shouting you guys out. But also, just shout out to everyone who has donated so far. So again, we were out at Matt Talbot Kitchen and Outreach from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and you can still donate. But currently, we are currently at 502 separate donations, and up to over $250,000 will be going to those guys. So absolutely fantastic work there. We also had the YWCA hour on here for just a short segment later today. those guys came in. If you guys want to help them out as well, they could definitely use some of those funds as well. They're a great nonprofit organization dedicated to empowering women and promoting peace, justice, freedom, and dignity for all. Again, they have currently 84 unique donations. If you want to donate to them, it goes overtime as well. And we just had the Malone Radio Show, a replay at that on before, another great nonprofit organization. We are happy to work with here at 93.7 The Ticket, the Malone Radio Show as well. The Malone Center, another great nonprofit. So again, it's not much of a competition on Give to Lincoln Day, but there's always a little bit of that factor. But at the end of the day, it is a massive win for the city of Lincoln. You can go to givetolincoln.com and just look at all the amounts and maybe feel enticed to donate yourself. But it's a day where tomorrow, I guarantee you, the city of Lincoln will be functioning better as a result of everyone's charity. And that's something that we can all wake up tomorrow and smile a little bit more, even if you didn't have the money to donate, even just the time, acknowledgement of how great a work these nonprofits are doing. The city of Lincoln will be better tomorrow as a result of everyone's charity tonight. So again, thanks to everyone who's donated, who continues to donate, even if it's just time. It doesn't all have to be about the dollar sign. So I want to put that out there one more time. GiveToLincoln.com. There's still time, about 3 hours, but kudos to everyone who's done their part so far today. And knowing the city of Lincoln will continue to do your part. That's why I love this city so much. And that's why I've been calling it home since 2018. All right, with that out of the way, let's talk some NBA. Not as exciting as Give to Lincoln Day, unfortunately. We got kind of a blowout going right now. Could swing a little bit, but currently 73-90 in the Eastern Conference Finals. I know a lot of people were really high on the Indiana Pacers, and rightfully so. But there was a little bit of reality check there. And we talked about this on some of the previous shows. But when you go look at the Western Conference Finals and you see a 3-1 series that is now over, the Thunder advance, they close it out in a gentleman's sweep 4-1. And then you go look at the Eastern Conference and you look at that 3-1 series, which may now be 3-2. The difference was when you go through those games, it was significantly more of a blowout in those Thunder games. This Pacers Thunder games, although the Pacers were leading at 3-1 at the time, they've all been, you tip your cap to Tyrese Halliburton for making some really tough clutch shots at the end. But if you take away those clutch shots, we're talking about how great the New York Knicks are, and they're likely the ones up 3-1 right now. So it has been a lot closer, despite what it may indicate. Again, the first game goes into overtime. Pacers steal it on the road, 138-135, and everybody remembers that shot. 114-109 in that second game. Pacers come away with it, and again, it felt like Knicks had control. Then finally, the Knicks get a win in game 3, 106-100, but again, only a 6-point win there. Pacers win it by 9 in game 4, 130-121, and now we're in game 5, and the Knicks look like they're in firm control of it. So although the Pacers seemed like they were the team that was going to bully their way into possibly a gentleman's sweep, I'm not going to be shocked if this goes to a 7-game series, because the Knicks feel like they've calmed down a little bit. Again, it's just one game. We'll see what happens come game 6 if it all comes up, falling apart again. But that was the biggest criticism you were getting for New York Knicks in this run, was just the absolute shock and awe on how they're just getting walked out of the building. And those games were a lot closer than I think people are giving the Knicks credit for. And you shouldn't be surprised to see the Knicks handling their business tonight. Jalen Brunson's having his nice night as well, currently on the box score. I'll give it to you guys. He's having a great night. And he was getting a lot of press for holding on to the ball too long. And sometimes you could have a rightful argument, but other times he's also your best player. He's 11 for 16 tonight. He's 70% from the floor. I guarantee you after this game, no one's going to be talking about how long Jalen Brunson's been holding the ball. Now, it is a legitimate argument at times because you do lead to stagnation. Even if you have great, role players alongside you, if you do just dribble the air out of the ball, as I think James Harden, probably the most notorious for it, the rest of the team starts to feel and look flat, where they shooting percentages take a dip because they're just not actively engaged in the game. However, when he's making those shots, and me and DeMorney Pierce-Nell were talking about it, Kobe Bryant got the same amount of criticism, if not in a more severe way, about holding on to the ball too much. Shot selection issues, dribbling it, not finding the open teammate. Brunson's starting to get that now, especially now that Jason Tatum is no longer in the NBA playoff picture. I don't think anybody was going to bash on Anthony Edwards too much if he wasn't able to get it done this year. The Thunder, SGA, this feels like the year they should break through, but if they didn't, I don't think anybody's going to absolutely grill them for it. For some reason, that attention seems to go to Jalen Brunson more than anybody else, and a little bit to Anthony Edwards. But Brunson's definitely getting that. He holds on to the ball too much. If they lose the series, Brunson's going to get a lot of the blame in the media. And it's an unfair way to do it, because Kobe Bryant, when he's making all the shots, we talk about how he was the greatest clutch player we were lucky to witness. That willingness to, he might have gone 0 for 20, but he's going to make the next one that matters. Or he'll go in the fourth corner and he'll make 6 out of 7, 7 out of 9. That is kind of the problem Jalen Brunson was having. In those late game stretches, he just wasn't making the shots that he was all the way up until the regular season and earlier in the playoffs. It's the exact same style of play. Nothing's changed about Jalen Brunson. The only thing that changed was they started losing games. Now the problem is he holds on to the ball too long. I'm not buying that yet until it is proven that they cannot come out of the Eastern Conference with Jalen Brunson being the ball dominant guy. I'm not going to bash him for it, because it's exactly how they got to where they are now. At times it could be ISO heavy, and you could sometimes want him to move the ball a little bit more, but that has been his bread and butter. He's a little bit more ball dominant, but that's exactly why the Knicks are where they're at right now, is because they have been led by Jalen Brunson, the same way those teams with the Lakers in the past were led by Kobe Bryant. Is it frustrating when the shots aren't going in? Absolutely. Is it easy to point at Brunson as the sole villain for why they're losing games? Yeah, it's really easy when he's holding on to the ball too long. But at the same time, we like to hold them on our shoulders as heroes when they start to make those shots. And that's exactly what's happening with Brunson tonight. And I guarantee you, his time of possession, the amount of time he's dominating the basketball, is probably just as high as it was in games 1 through 4. But now he's making shots, so people just aren't going to be the biggest conversation tomorrow as it was 2 days ago when they dropped one. And it looked like they were on verge of going into a gentleman's sweep, which is still a possibility tonight. But like I said, Knicks seem to be in some pretty firm control there. Currently, the score between the Pacers and Knicks, 96-79. Knicks still lead it. 9.5 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. So, a little bit less than a 20-point lead for the Knicks. And then when you look at the Pacers, currently, they're kind of a team where it's just top to bottom. They got a ton of guys. Even today, they're playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They're already, 11 guys deep in their bench. So the Pacers, very similar to what the Celtics were last year. They can wear you out in a series. And this is one where you're not going to be surprised to see guys like Thomas Bryant at the end of the game, Jarris Walker at the end of the game. When it's getting to this extent, the Pacers are looking to rest a little bit more. But even, not going all the way to 10. When you have TJ McConnell, you got Obi Toppin, and then Naismith can out of nowhere be what J.R. Smith was for the Cleveland Cavaliers back in the day, just be that X factor, raining down threes at a ridiculous rate. And then, of course, Tyrese Halliburton, the star of the team, who's currently 1 for 5 on the night. Nembhard, Ben Shepherd, Ben Shepherd, you can argue how integral he is, but the point of it being is they are just stacked. It is a very deep roster. And it's one of those where if you focus on Tyrese Halliburton, Pascal Siakam might give you 20, and that opens up Nembhard. He might have a big day. McConnell might come in and be hot from the 3. It's like the Celtics last year, where although you weren't expecting it, we got an Al Horford game. This year, although we weren't expecting it, we got an Aaron Naismith game from the Pacers. And the Knicks is a little bit similar, although they're not nearly as deep. And Coach Tibbs, everyone knows him at this point, isn't super into going deep on the bench. And you're seeing it work out tonight for him. And again, Jalen Brunson's hot, so it's working out fantastic. Karl-Anthony Towns, if you were, Karl-Anthony Towns worried about possible contusion, how's he going to recover from that? What's he going to look like in this upcoming must-win game? He's been playing phenomenal. 8 for 15. He's about 50% from the floor. 1 for 2 from 3, puts him 50% there. 75% from the stripe. He's got 3 free throws on the day, and he's got a double-double. The biggest thing for Karl-Anthony Towns is to do exactly that. Be the big man, get 11 rebounds, 20 points. He's got himself a strong double-double on high efficiency as well. And Mitchell Robinson, your other big in there, he's 3 for 3. Got a couple blocks on him as well. So you're just seeing a really good complete game out of the New York Knicks. And like I said, I'm not going to be terribly surprised if this one goes to 7. Now, with all that being said, when we get to the NBA Finals, I don't know how much it matters with the OKC Thunder sitting there and waiting. The Thunder series between the Thunder that went all the way to Game 7 was, to me, a good sign that this Thunder team was legit. I know the Nuggets weren't as strong as they were last year. They lost a lot of key pieces. Jokic was quite literally the engine of that team, and he will continue to be until they rework that roster a little bit. They're definitely missing guys like Brown. They lost KCP in the past. They just didn't have quite enough there. What surprised me the most was, considering that the Timberwolves beat an even better Nuggets team last year in Game 7, I was just not anticipating the Nuggets to get walked the way they did versus the OKC Thunder in a 4-1 closeout. And we'll go through the scores of the games either. It wasn't just that they were winning those games. They were blowing the Timberwolves out of the water with some consistency outside of one game. And that just makes the Thunder a terrifying team. Because you look at next year, they got more first-round picks. You look into the year of 2026, they got protected first-round picks. They got one from the Utah Jazz, and you go look at the Utah Jazz record, it's protected, 1-8. So, I mean, these OKC team, even if they don't cross the finish line this year, they're going to be able to just rebuild and keep adding cheap, crucial pieces. And they'll have enough assets to keep trading around because they're just going to have so much value, whether they want to trade picks or draft guys and then trade the players themselves. They still got a ton of wiggle room, and they're going to be talked about as one of the best GMs on the OKC Thunder until this Thunder team really starts falling apart. But going through the series between the Thunder and the Timberwolves, like I said, hasn't been close to the extent that you were hoping for. The last game was close. They lose 128-126. But up until that point, 88-114, game 1, Timberwolves lose. Game 2, Timberwolves lose 103-118. Game 3, that's finally when the Timberwolves felt like they figured it out. They blow out the Thunder 143-101. But then after that, it's just over. 128-126. Timberwolves lose. They tried to fight back in that one at home, couldn't hold on to it. And then you get back on the road and it's another blowout. So they played well at home. They stole a win. They barely got another one at home, but that team was pretty clear when they were on the road, just not even close to what they were at home. So a little bit surprised to see them just not compete on the road. For how good that Nuggets team was last year, I thought the Timberwolves, this could be their year to sneak in there. Even though the Thunder is a good bet, until a young team breaks through, you're always kind of second guessing it. You can make the same argument with a guy like Anthony Edwards, but they got a lot more veterans on that Timberwolves team than they do that Thunder team. So if SGA wins this finals with the Thunder, which if I had to put it out there, whether they get Pacers or Knicks, I'm going to roll with the Thunder on this one. The Thunder have broken the record for double-digit wins in a regular season, postseason. They've got to 80 wins already without making the NBA Finals. That's another just unique elite category. When you look at the OKC Thunder's historical season stats and you look at the NBA history, what you're going to find a lot is that this OKC Thunder team, although it doesn't always look like it because the style of play is so different, this Thunder team is matching up to the great Bulls teams of Michael Jordan when they won those 6 rings. It's matching up to the Warriors team with Steph Curry when they broke the regular season winning record. Like, this Thunder team is really, really good. And all the numbers are going to point you to some jaw-dropping historical comparisons that are going to make it hard to swallow that this Pacers or Knicks team, although I think they can maybe steal a game or two, it just feels like the Thunder dynasty is arriving sooner than later. And like I said, I'm not going to be super surprised if this NBA Finals, regardless of who's there, is a shorter series, something similar to what we saw when the Bucks and Suns met not too long ago, where it's just a horrible matchup for the Phoenix Suns playing so small, having to go up against the Milwaukee Bucks in the prime of Giannis Antetokounmpo, where he gets his ring. If the Thunder don't get beat this year, the West is just going to be a nightmare. Because Jokic is still, in my mind, he is the MVP this year, even though SGA won it. I still think you put Jokic on that Thunder team, and I don't even mean to disrespect Shai Gilgeous-Alexander by any means, but I think that team's even better if you put a guy like Jokic on it, as opposed to if you put SGA on the Nuggets. Nuggets still a good team. They're definitely playoff contenders, but it is not nearly the same competitiveness that they would have. I just think Jokic is that good. But with that being said, the Nuggets got to get some help because it's clear that the Thunder are right now in the West the deepest team, and it's not really close, and they got more picks to come. So if you're the Nuggets, you're going to have to get some help for Jokic. I don't know what that looks like. You're going to have to move one of your stars. You don't want to move Brown because you got the three-point shooting there. Aaron Gordon plays really, really well with Jokic, but he's going to be one of your best assets to move on from. Jamal Murray, to get rid of him, that's probably going to piss Jokic off. Edelman's remaining as the head coach. He was the interim head coach. So the Timberwolves, the Nuggets, they're in an interesting time of how much are they going to put into this roster to try to have enough depth to take on the OKC Thunder. Because that was the thing about the OKC Thunder that was so impressive is they are the number one defensive team for a reason, and a lot of it's just the effort. They got a lot of bodies they can throw at you. They're young as well, so they got that extra spring in their step. And if you're the Nuggets, you're not going to pull the Celtics and just go all out on the luxury tax. Again, the Celtics, interesting and problematic situation for them is with the Jason Tatum injury. Between Brown and Tatum alone, the next 5 years, I mean, they're spending over $250,000 on those guys. Next year, if they just hold on to the roster they have, they will be paying $500 million, roughly 300 to 500 in luxury tax, right? Not even paying your guys, just paying the league the luxury tax to be able to have those guys. So I don't think the Nuggets will ever go for that drastic. They don't have that Celtics account, but they may have to go into luxury tax a little bit more than they would have liked to in the past because the West is just going to keep getting better. We'll see what the Timberwolves do. They're going to have to get, I'd imagine, maybe not another superstar, but at least continue to build out the depth of that roster. If you try to get a superstar, I think the tricky thing is who do you want to match up with Anthony Edwards? I'll ask you guys that. We got about 5 minutes left here. If you wanted to fix the Timberwolves or make them officially finals contenders, which player do you want to see there? What is the move? And you also probably have to get rid of players. So if you want to add that into it, fantastic. But 402-464-5685, how did the Timberwolves break through? Because I felt like the NBA fan favorite there for a while. Anthony Edwards is liked for obvious reasons. He just has passion and energy for the game and the physicality. I mean, that's the stuff that everybody grew up loving in the Jordan era, the Detroit Pistons, Bad Boys. And we've come so far away from that. So when you see a guy like Anthony Edwards who embraces that stuff, he's going to be a fan favorite. But with that being said, the fan favorite did not fare well at all in the Western Conference Finals, as they only get the one win in 2 of those games being close. The rest of them are really being blowouts. You could bring in a guy like Giannis, maybe. Giannis is the big one out there who keeps flirting with the idea of getting out of Milwaukee. But if you're going to get rid of Giannis, you're going to have to meet that pay roll somehow. So then you were talking about your other stars and Julius Randle, Rudy Gobert. How good do you feel about patching those guys together? And you're going to have to probably throw in some role players just to get the numbers to work. The Timberwolves feel significantly far away, mainly because the Thunder are just that much better than I anticipated this early. And maybe we should have saw it coming with the record continuing the way it was, and they broke through. Beating the Nuggets might have been the stamp that they need. But then again, we talked about it. What are the Nuggets going to do? Because they're going to revamp their roster. And the Warriors, whatever you think about the Warriors, they're always out there. We've been trying to stomp out the Warriors. They missed the NBA playoffs. We thought that was the end of the Warriors dynasty. They roll back in the next year and they win one more ring. And now we feel like we're over it, but you never know with Steph Curry. He's 37 years old, but when you're shooting like that still, I mean, he had quietly one of the best seasons of his career, really leading that team to the playoffs just to even have a chance. And they obviously fell short. But the West is just such a loaded conference. And then when you look over in the East, obviously the big question is, what do the Boston Celtics do? It's do you keep that together? Do you pay the luxury tax, knowing that you fell short this year? Because even if you want to take the Tatum injury out of it, they were likely still going to lose that. It wasn't going well for them before Tatum was hurt. It was going a little bit better, but it wasn't going great. So even if you had the healthy Jason Tatum, is the series that much different? I don't think you can have a whole lot of certainty into it. And at the end of the day, you still have to make the decision. Are we going to pay the $500 million, which I shouldn't say what could be up to $500 million in luxury tax for a team that got bounced before the Eastern Conference Finals? Because although they won a ring, it is hard to imagine that this would be the end of the Celtics run already. they're going to have to make a move, but it's going to have to be a very smart and calculated move to keep this thing together. The last thing you want to see is the Celtics make a drastic move and the whole thing comes falling apart. And the teams have been caught by before, a little bit of a different situation, but not too long ago, you remember the Nets going all out for it. They get James Harden in there. They somehow were actually they got Ben Simmons. Somehow they got James Harden. Ben Simmons ended up being that later down the road. But at one point in time, Kevin Durant, James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and they were actually winning ball games. It was a good team, but temperatures flared. It wasn't the right fit. They get rid of Steve Nash super early, and the whole thing fell apart. And now it's hard to even remember when the Knicks or the Brooklyn Nets had that much hope. And I will say, when those guys were playing, they were winning games at a really good clip. Although it was a small sample, you could see it, but not everyone was on the same page and the whole thing blow up. So you don't want to see something like that happen, where you try to make moves, you're really aggressive, and before you know it, the whole operation is an absolute failure. I don't think it'll ever be that severe for the Celtics because they have that many good players, but that is the fear, especially with the Tatum injury. With that being said, we'll throw it to break. Don't go anywhere. Harrison Arens going solo on Ticket Weeknights. Talk to you in a little bit.
93.7 The Ticket is your home for every Kansas City Royals baseball game. Bobby Witt Jr., Salvador Perez, Vinny Pasquantino, and the rest of the Royals attempt to make the postseason for the second season in a row. And you can hear all the action on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Your home for Kansas City Royals baseball.
Grandma and Grandpa, Mom and Dad, then the kids, and now the grandkids. Judson Irrigation has provided lawn sprinkler system design, installation, repair, and service to 4 generations. They're just like members of the family. Loyalty, trust, service. It's what you deserve and expect from Judson Irrigation.
Keep summer green. Call Judson Irrigation 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
Mike, I've been thinking our house could really use a makeover. How about new siding?
I've been thinking the same thing. Have you heard of James Hardy?
Yes. Sarah down the street had Roofing Service Company install James Hardy siding on their home, and they love it.
Roofing Service Company does have great reviews.
They took her through the design process and made everything super easy.
Roofing Service Company offers expert design and installation. Couple that with James Hardy's durable products and variety of colors, you and your family will love your exterior remodel. Just visit roofingservicecompany.com. That's roofingservicecompany.com. Jumpstart your summer to the max. Walk into any Max Tan in Lincoln and get a $5 standing tan session or a $5 red light wellness booth session. Your summer tan starts today with $5 sessions at Max Tan with 3 Lincoln locations.
Hello.
Angela, we have to break up.
But why?
Because you're a robot and I'm just a guy trying to get better internet.
It's Aloe Fiber, isn't it? I always knew you wanted faster speeds. My contract isn't good enough for you.
Face it, Angela, they let me talk to real people.
Press 4 to break my heart. Oh wait, you already did.
Visit aloefiber.com to switch today.
Looking to upgrade your baler this hay season? During the month of May, get 3.9% fixed rate for up to 60 months on used balers and windrowers at Landmark Implement. When you purchase pre-owned hay equipment at Landmark, know you're backed by Landmark's extensive parts and service network with mobile techs and parts drop-off points to keep you up and running. Shop all used hay equipment online at landmarkimp.com or stop by your local Landmark dealer to experience the Landmark difference.
Hi everyone, Kendall Warnock, A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. Spring is here. Summer is fast approaching. With weddings, vacations, and weekend getaways on your mind, do not let car issues prevent you from getting where you need to be. Car problems shouldn't be something that you put up with. Let us get you back on the road in comfort and safety. We diagnose all makes and models from Porsches to Hondas, Toyotas, and Chevrolets. We fix a variety of issues with all of them with our talented techs and our experienced staff. A1 Automotive at 11th and L, downtown Lincoln, always honest answers.
Have you been injured in an accident and don't know where to turn? Do you need a lawyer you can trust to handle your case with professionalism and compassion? The attorneys at Liberty Law understand that a call to an attorney is a call for help. If you've been injured, we want to help you. Liberty Law's experienced attorneys are committed to the pursuit of justice for those injured. Contact us for a free consultation by calling 877-42-LIBERTY. Call Liberty Law and find out how we can help get you the compensation you deserve. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. Liberty Law Group, trial attorneys you can trust.
On the Block with Eric Strickland, Jay Foreman, and Austin Orman.
The goal for those coming on the road, let's go get that first. And then here's what'll happen. There'll be you'll kind of be lackadaisical. Instead of keeping that energy, why not two? Instead of keeping that energy, you'll probably see just a little bit more ease of play, because in the psyche, we did what we came to do.
Every weekday from 3 to 5 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
In Nebraska, we show up when friends need help. We check in on our neighbors. That's why it's important to know the warning signs of suicide. If you have a friend or neighbor who's withdrawn, stressed, agitated, or talks about suicide, find out how you can help. Call, text, or chat 988 for 24/7 support. You have the power to save a life. Paid for by the University of Nebraska Public Policy Center. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Hi, this is Pastor Tom. Did you know there's a place kids can seek out help when they're away from home and something goes wrong? They find themselves in a difficult spot or even a dangerous situation. Maybe another child is bullying them or a stranger is following them. Perhaps on a date and things just go bad. In Lincoln, here's where they can find help. It's called Safe Place. Safe Place is a national program for children taking place in thousands of cities across the United States. The People Seeding Mission is sponsoring this program in our community and has set up a number of businesses, fire stations, schools, and nonprofits around the city to become safe locations where kids can seek out help. They just need to look for the big yellow sign that says Safe Place on it. Then go inside and ask for help. We will be quickly connected to them and ensure they make it back home or to whatever resources are needed. If you'd like to find out more about Safe Place and ways in which you can get involved, just go to pcmlincoln.org. Remember, when we all do a little, we change a lot.
Back to The Ticket weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome in. Harrison Arens on the ones and twos. As always, 402-464-5685. You guys are always welcome to join back in. We're going to talk some Husker football here. Everyone's favorite, or a lot of people's favorite, at least around here. We do have Husker baseball tomorrow, though. So, again, be sure to root for the Husker baseball team as they take on Oklahoma. Chapel Hill Regional. They got North Carolina in there hosting it. Obviously, Chapel Hill Regional. And then you get Holy Cross. And, of course, on the other side of things, Nebraska, Oklahoma. That will be the Nebraska's first opponent they will face is Oklahoma, and that one is tomorrow. So be sure to root for those guys, and hopefully the bats stay hot and the pitchers stay hot as well. I mean, Ty Horn was phenomenal. I can't even just say Ty Horn. Really, the entire pitching crew at Nebraska, they played well. And I think taking down Oregon early in that morning really gave them a lot of confidence. Of course, he beat Penn State in the semifinals, and that led to an awesome championship Sunday for Nebraska baseball to not win just one, but two back-to-back Big Ten tournament titles. Bringing the Pac-12 schools, still Nebraska's Big Ten tournament. So you'll love to absolutely see that. But we're going to talk some Nebraska football here as we got some time yet. We did get the schedule, not the entire schedule, but more dates announced. And you guys can let me know which is the most integral game in Nebraska's schedule, or the one that you think can really sway how the season's going to go. So again, we already kind of know the first one, that August 28th Thursday game, a little bit different there. Cincinnati, well, I shouldn't say that bit different. Early week 0 games, you're going to run into that. So we do get that Thursday opener versus Cincinnati. And of course, it's at Arrowhead in Kansas City, 8 p.m. kickoff, ESPN. That will have a ton of eyes on it for obvious reasons. Akron, that one's September 6th, 6:30 p.m. And then September 13th, Houston Christian. We got our first 11 a.m. game. And then September 20th versus Michigan. But you do get Michigan at home, 2:30 p.m. kickoff. That one to me sticks out like a sore thumb. There's a lot of layers to the Michigan game. You got the whole Michigan cheating scandal that for whatever reason the NCAA can't ever put a pin in, or the Big Ten or Michigan. We're just volunteering our punishments now because it's just dragging on forever. I get a little bit ranty on this, but there's certain things that do not need to take this long. And when you have schools 2 years in a row now are offering their served punishment where that will decide, like What are we doing? 2 years in a row, and we have the university that's getting accused volunteering the punishment for us. So that's where I get upset with it. And why that comes into play is Michigan going to forfeit Sharon Moore for games 1, not games 1 and 2. They will get him there. Why? Because Oklahoma, his alma mater, they have Oklahoma. Big game for Michigan, lots of money, high importance. They don't want to strip away that moment from Sharon Moore. It's too important. Then what the hell is the point of the punishment? That's where I end up on it. If it's going to hurt you emotionally to not be there, that's why it's a consequence of not cheating in college football. We don't move the game so it fits what you want to do best. Otherwise, there's no point in the punishment at all. But that's what's happening. So weeks 1 and 2, not be there. Weeks 3 and 4, weeks 1 and 2 will be coaching. 3 and 4 will not be coaching. And why that's important is because that week 4 is Nebraska. So when they face Nebraska in Memorial Stadium, Michigan feels like they would much rather not have their head coach. Well, obviously they didn't want him, but they feel better about having him for games 1 and 2, really making sure they have him for that Oklahoma game. And they feel maybe a little bit better about their chances of winning a game on the road at Nebraska without their head coach. So if you're Nebraska, if you're a player, I hope you take that a little bit personally. Michigan's unfortunately really outside of the Adrian Martinez, where in my mind should have blew the ball dead. They didn't. It's ripped from him. Ball's out. Michigan gets the ball. We all know the ending of that game, but we were pushing an elite Michigan team to the brink of a loss. And really, it was just the absolute bummer of a moment because Adrian Martinez played so well in that game. The entire team did, to be in that position, especially knowing what the trenches have over there at Michigan. You give a ton of credit for the way our offensive, defensive line were playing in those games. Just keep it close, knowing that on paper, everything said Michigan should dominated, but they fought through it. And that game was an absolute nail biter. That's the same type of team I hope to see. You know, I don't want to see Michigan come in here, 2 years ago, where after the first quarter, it felt like that game was over. Or it could have been at the end of the Scott Frost era, actually. Last time Michigan came to Memorial Stadium, I know it all too well just because my mom came down to Lincoln for that day, and she left after the second quarter, and I can't blame her. You know, she's watched a lot of the Husker football glory days. She's paid her dues and her supporting the university, and to come down to Lincoln and to see Michigan just taking it lightly. I mean, like they were very comfortable in commanding that game right out of the gates, and Nebraska never had an answer for it, and it felt like a real pride thing that hurt a lot after that game. This is a game where if you feel that kind of disrespect for Michigan, you don't have to win the game, but you got to show some fight. The same kind of fight I want to see what we saw back in the day when Adrian Martinez faced that really good Michigan team. There's going to be a team on paper that's going to be arguably much better than you, but not that much better. Not a team that should just be able to bully you on your own Memorial Stadium field without their head coach. And to me, this is a gut check game, and you get them at home. If you can beat Michigan, that's a momentum shift win. You know, we've been trying it forever with Ohio State. We've been right there over and over and over again. Obviously, last year being the most recent example of having an opportunity to make a game-winning drive. Refs didn't help in that one if we have to go back to it, but have an opportunity to make a game-winning drive. We just fall short. Michigan, we had it with Adrian Martinez. Last year, we had it with Dylan Raiola in Ohio State, and we've had a ton of those games in the past. We finally got over the hump. We beat Wisconsin. We beat Iowa before. We just got to keep making sure next year we keep taking care of business there to bring that Heroes Trophy back home in Lincoln. But it's just another year of opportunity. Like, can Nebraska start beating those teams that have really not feared us? And like, they've respected us, but I think it's safe to say they haven't feared Nebraska. In the Big Ten win-loss total over the past 5 years, will tell you teams haven't feared Nebraska, not nearly as close as they did in the past. And you can't necessarily blame them for it. But moving on, Michigan, like I said, that is September 20th. That to me is, I think, going to be that momentum shift game in Nebraska's season. If they can beat Michigan, I think that's momentum shifting. If they lose to Michigan, it is not the end of the season, but I think there's a lot to get back if you drop it. If you win that one, I mean, you're just that momentum. We've seen it before. It can carry teams. If you drop it, it still feels like, well, we're close. We're just not there. We want to get out of that conversation. We've been in that conversation since Frost got here, since Rule got here, since Riley. Well, Riley, we were there, and then we really fell off it. At his first year, we coming off the Bo Pelini players, we had a pretty good record. I think he was 7-0 at one point in time, and then we really started to see the fall of Husker football. But we're running out of room and time to say we're just right there. Year 3, Matt Rule, that's obviously the big one. You like a lot of the pieces. This coaching staff just seems to keep expanding without losing. You bring in Mike Eckler, you keep Ed Foley. You bring in Dana Holgerson, you keep Satterfield on staff. Obviously, you lose some big ones on the defensive side of the ball in John Butler, not in John Butler and Kenny Wilhite and Pot Roast, but you bring in John Butler, a guy who's already out there, familiar with the 3-3-5, and then you bring in a guy in Terry Braden, who I know we've talked about Terry Braden before, but for obvious reasons, excited about that guy coming from the Chiefs for 8 years as part of coaching that defensive line as an assistant coach, now taking his job as the head coach or the head position coach of the defensive line here at Nebraska. Obviously worked with Jones, one of the best, and obviously has seen a ton of success in wins in postseason with that team. And it's all offseason stuff, so you never want to get too excited on it. But I do like the way he's coaching. He seems very intent that guys absolutely do things the right way. I've seen him, at least on X, getting people's, I don't want to say their faces, but really make sure that they're taking every drill with the necessary focus, that they're doing things the right way. So a lot of reasons to be excited. Keep going down the list here. You bring Pat Stewart in, a guy to handle the GM side of things, because you can go out there and ask 20 people on the street, how do you think, NIL will look 2 years from now? Everyone's going to have a different answer. You're going to have some similar trends. You're going to have some similar ideas, but they're all going to be a little bit different. I think that's Pat Stewart's role. Like, he's trying to stay ahead of this NIL. We've talked about with the 105 roster limit. Now we're talking, maybe we don't need the roster limit and we could actually grandfather some of these guys in. The NCAA is, like I said before, and why I got upset with the Michigan thing, they drag their feet on this stuff a lot. And it's a college university. They make it well known that it's a business too. Otherwise, we wouldn't have all this conference realignment. This is billions of dollars. So you can't be dragging your feet on operations this big. And now you have a guy like Pat Stewart, who, because the NCAA seems to be dragging their feet, they can stay in this coaching football, and Pat Stewart can take care of the NIL and make sure that whatever the case may be, Nebraska has a plan. I wouldn't be surprised if Pat Stewart has a contingency plan. He has 10 different spreadsheets for how the NCAA is going to end up deciding on what they want to do. If they grandfather 105 or if they don't, here's this plan. If we have to, offer this amount of money, if they put a cap on it, I got this plan. If there's no cap, I got this plan. If we want to become an LLC, I've been thinking about that one as well, as we've seen other universities do. I believe is the University of Kentucky. So what I'm getting at here is you're seeing all these schools try to make their players employees, try to become a limited liability corporation, trying to become, no salary cap. It's just a million different ways to go about it right now. And there's no definitive answer as to what the NCAA, what the Big Ten or SEC, you can even bring those guys into it, because they're at the point where they're clearly calling what feels like a lot of the shots because they have the money. And it does feel like the NCAA toasted that a few times, but there is no contingency plan. So again, I think that's why Pat Stewart is such a big hire for Nebraska. Even if we don't see it year 1 or year 2, even if we don't ever really tangibly see it, I just think the job of a college football head coach, we can talk about all the money in the world they get now. It's almost borderline impossible. It's if you don't have that GM there, or at least a GM role. You heard Kirby Smart talk about it at Georgia. Not big on the GM thing, but I'm sure he has people on his staff looking into it. So you might not call him a GM per definition on your staff, but again, the way NIL is going, no one seems to have a real clear idea on how you're going to want to separate that money and how you're going to want to put your university in a position to make sure that NIL funds, the boosters, don't get, tired of cashing out big checks. It's a lot of stuff to think about, and it's a good hire to get Pat Stewart in there, along with all the other coaches I've talked about as well. So we'll throw it to break here on the final side of things. We'll probably talk a little bit more Husker football, maybe even some Husker hoops as well. So don't go anywhere. We got one more segment here on Ticket Weeknights, and I will remind you guys, again, still Give to Lincoln Day. We got just about 2 hours and 15 minutes left. It's all the way till midnight. So if you do donate today, as always, that money, it does extra work for you, and your ripple effect, you never know how far that thing's going to go. So give to lincolnday.com. Really easy to navigate once you're there. Tons of great nonprofits. We were out there at Matt Talbot Outreach and Kitchen, or Kitchen and Outreach, all day from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. They have raised over $250,000 in over 500 individual donations. So again, shout out to everyone who donated to Give to Lincoln today, because we're out there, we're talking about it, and we've had some more on Ticket Talent making sure to do their part. But it's really awesome to see the entire city of Lincoln coming together, and that donation number has just been climbing what feels like throughout the entire day. So again, you guys all deserve a big shout out yourselves. We'll throw it to break, and like I said, we'll talk more Husker athletics, Husker football, basketball on the other side.
93.7 The Ticket is your home for every Kansas City Royals baseball game. Bobby Witt Jr., Salvador Perez, Vinny Pasquantino, and the rest of the Royals attempt to make the postseason for the second season in a row. And you can hear all the action on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Your home for Kansas City Royals baseball. Early break.
One-handed. Behind the back, over the shoulder. Oh, yeah.
They're peacocking out there.
Eyes closed like that. High stepping, high knees.
That guy doing
high knees. I saw a guy doing a karaoke down the sidewalk. Guys, is incredible.
Use it as a microphone.
Yeah. You can do anything. Flip it over, sing into it. Then there's me. I'm like,
with Steve Sipple, Jake Sorensen, and Bill Bush from 6 to 9 every weekday morning on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
A lot of businesses say they're family focused, but when tough situations in life arise, the business wants anything but your best interests. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring, and they will always treat their employees like family, just as they do their customers. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring Class A and B CDL drivers, a shop tech, and a diesel mechanic. If you're looking for a career with a company that goes above and beyond to value you and your family, apply today at jamesenterpriseinc.com or call 402-432-6740.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just their professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, their passion for happier, healthier, furry friends. Get rid of pesky critters once and for all with Bats to Rats. Their expert team is here to help you reclaim your home. No more sleepless nights caused by crawling critters or flapping wings. Bats to Rats ensures a safe environment for every family member. Check the website at batstorats.com for amazing offers. And if you mention this ad, you'll receive $10 off your initial inspection cost. Call Bats to Rats today at 402-781-8691. That's 402-781-8691. Bats to Rats.
hey, what are you talking about over there?
Huh?
I said, what are you talking about?
You know, Bill, I think it's time for both of us to get our hearing checked. We should head over to Christensen Hearing Analytics.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about them. They offer a free hearing consultation and screening, affordable hearing aid prices, and a knowledgeable staff with over 30 years of experience.
Visit Christensen Hearing Analytics today in Williamsburg Village or give them a call at 402-489-3450. Christensen Hearing Analytics. A better life starts with better hearing.
Hi, it's Charlie Stone and Andy Goodyear of Honda of Lincoln with more exciting news for area car buyers.
Charlie, it's just announced that Honda of Lincoln has won 3 of the Lincoln Journal-Star's Lincoln Choice Awards: Best New Car Dealer, Best Auto Repair, and Best Place to Get Your Oil Changed.
Wow, that's great, Andy. Anything else?
Yes, we were runner-up for Best Pre-Owned Dealer and Best Tire Dealer. A lot of people don't understand that we do sell tires here.
Very exciting, Andy. Why do you think your dealership is winning so many awards?
Charlie, we simply say it's the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business.
Looks like Honda of Lincoln is the great news headquarters for Lincoln.
Yes, and even all of Nebraska, we are also announcing that Honda of Lincoln's the only dealer in the state of Nebraska to win the prestigious Honda President's Award for 2024.
Honda of Lincoln, Nebraska's #1 volume Honda dealer, 27th and Yankee Hill Road, or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
National Electrical Safety Month is held every May to raise awareness about the importance of staying safe around electricity. Visit les.com/safety for safety tips on power lines, tree trimming, storms, and so much more. It pays to participate in LES Peak Rewards. You can earn a $25 gift card when you enroll your qualified smart thermostat in the program. Help curb electric demand and sign up today at les.com/peak rewards.
The end of the school year is drawing near, which means graduation parties are coming soon. Are you prepared for hosting? Führer's Cheese Spread is the dip that brings everyone together to celebrate graduations and the close to a great school year. And it goes well with crackers, meats, soups, and more. How could you consider throwing a party without it? Get to your local grocery store today and load up on Führer's Cheese Spread. No graduation party is complete without it.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize to participate in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contests, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
Back to The Ticket weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back in. Final segment. Going solo, Harrison runs on the ones and twos. And as always, Facebook, YouTube, X, Allo Channel 961. We will have more replays going all the way till midnight. If you got Allo Cable, Allo Channel 961. Always a great way to tune in, especially if you're working that night shift and your hours are weird. You can always catch the ticket content in the middle of the night. With that being said, though, we do got to wrap it up at least with the local stuff this hour. And continuing with Husker football, we did get possibly a new punter. He's in the UNL directory already. He is having an official visit this weekend, and that is Archie Wilson, punter out of Australia, and a rugby punter at that. So the big importance with that one is obviously, for those who remember, we lost Jack McAllister, not because Jack McAllister was pissing anybody off or was not showing up. He was, by all means, according to everyone, a great student athlete. The student part, the athlete part, all of it. He had really high praise from Matt Rule on his way out. And the biggest thing for him was Mike Eckler likes a rugby style punter. He seems to really focus on that, and he thinks he can give them a significant edge. And if that's the way Mike Eckler thinks, then it feels like a disservice to have Jack McAllister out there in a system that doesn't necessarily serve him best. So it's one of the ugly things about college football when you have situations like that, when you go through coaching changes unexpectedly, and all of a sudden your fit is a little bit different. We always like to think about the universities and how many stars are you? You're 5 stars, you'll be great over here. It's sometimes about that fit. And guys like Jay Foreman talk about it all the time. There's certain players that fail, not because they didn't work hard, not because they didn't do X, Y, or Z. It's because they were told that they would go play in this system at this position. And then when they get there, well, they actually don't really like you at this position. They want to move you out here. We also got a new offensive coordinator, and he doesn't really seem to think you have it at all out there. So you end up into these horrible situations where sometimes it was never even the player's fault. It's just an unfortunate hand of cards. So that is the unfortunate side of college football. And obviously with the Jack McAllister moving on, it was one of those where it was a fit issue. And that's what happens when you go through coaching changes. And that's the risk of it. Sometimes you're going to have those misfits where nothing about the guy is wrong, but now our system is wrong for him. And that's just kind of what happened there. But Archie Wilson, he is a rugby style out of Australia, and he looks like he's already in that UNL director. So possibly it looks like Nebraska is going to have their new punter as well. And with that being said, I said Husker hoops, but we'll actually talk NBA here as we did wrap up. Knicks closed it out 100-11-94. Pacers came back a little bit, but Knicks built such a comfortable lead at the end there that it was pretty much set in stone. So the Knicks extend their series 111-94. They win it. Now it's a 2-3 series with the Pacers up by 1 game. And if you're the OKC Thunder, you'll take it. More break for you. The season could have ended, or excuse me, not the season, the series between the Eastern Conference Finals could have ended tonight. Instead, it goes on for another day. So if you're a Thunder player, coaching staff, you get some extra time to rest your guys. And at the same time, now maybe you start drawing up plans for, well, maybe the New York Knicks extend this one more game, and now it's a 3-3 series, and now you have a game 7 where you got to try to figure out who are you going to have come out on the other side of things. But Jalen Brunson, he had Madison Square Garden rocking. It was that game where, again, when he's making the shots, nobody likes to talk about how much he's dribbling the ball. As soon as he starts missing them, everyone says, well, if he would just stop dribbling the ball so much, the Knicks would be winning these series. Forgetting the part where that was really the same Jalen Brunson who got you to exactly where you were. And obviously, it's not all Jalen Brunson. It's another very deep roster. Again, you get guys like Obi Toppin who, not that raw into the league, but also, they're only been here for a few years. So it's a young team with a bunch of guys that had really high ceilings on them that maybe didn't meet them, but now they're making into really good role players. And of course, Jalen Brunson's going to be the star of that team. As long as he stays healthy, they can kind of keep building around him and finding the pieces that work. Coach Tibbs has been an awesome chapter for him to find some success down there in New York. And like I said, I'm not going to be surprised at all if they do extend this to 7, if the Knicks win it. These games have all been really close. And we did just see Nebraska baseball, the wrap up on these guys. And again, they play tomorrow. They didn't win 3 games in a row all year. And then they get to the Big Ten tournament and they win 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they go win the Big Ten tournament. Like, that is the stuff that sometimes you just got to get hot. And if the Knicks can kind of find their balance, I wouldn't be surprised at all if Brunson makes his case, to being one of the next faces in the league. The same way we talked about Anthony Edwards, the same way we're talking about Shea, the same way we're talking about Tyrese Halliburton. There's a lot on the line for every single one of these teams, the 3 teams left involved. Between Tyrese Halliburton, Jalen Brunson, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, who wants to be the next champion, who wants to be the next face of the NBA? Because it's, whatever reason, it's not going to be Jokic. We've seen him been dominating for a while. Tough guy to market. These guys left here, though, there's a lot going on, a lot to be excited for, and we will definitely talk about it as we continue on here. But with that being said, we got to wrap it up here. Harrison Arens on the 1s and 2s. Like I said, as always, appreciate you guys listening. Going solo here. I had to fill in with a little bit of Give to Lincoln Day. Everyone was stretched out, but a great day to be stretched out then, as there's plenty of reasons to be celebrating. And again, like I said, shout out to everyone who donated today. Didn't have to be to Matt Talbot Outreach or Kitchen and Outreach. Could have been to any of the nonprofits. It's a win for the city of Lincoln in general. But like I said, that's going to wrap it up for the local content here tonight. You can still go to givetolincoln.com if you're interested. It wraps up at midnight. But be sure to tune in 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. Steve Sipple, Jake Sorensen, Bill Bush, they'll join you as always. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday night.